I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Since Special Counsel Jack Smith brought the most recent indictment against Donald Trump, he was arrested and arraigned. The filings have been fast and furious, with motions for protective order being filed by Jack Smith, oppositions and motions to try to delay being filed by Trump's lawyers and being denied, orders being posted almost instantaneously by Judge Tanya Chutkan, a no-nonsense law and order judge. We've been covering all of these developments here and on our new website, MeidasTouch.com, but I think it's important to reflect just for a moment on some of these powerful filings by Special Counsel Jack Smith. And within hours, less than hours, some cases less than an hour of Donald Trump filing, these bizarre motions. There's this one opposition that Donald Trump filed to the government's protective order where he posts a photograph of President Joe Biden drinking a cup of coffee. And Trump's lawyer said that is mocking Donald Trump, and it shows how Biden's weaponizing the DOJ, some BS like that. Special Counsel Jack Smith was ready to go with the filing, like as I mentioned, within an hour, and it is powerful, and it is calling out Donald Trump and Trump's lawyers for this media tour that they are doing and that they did over the weekend. Basically, every hour on the hour, Donald Trump's lawyers were on a different television network, spreading lies and contradictory lies, attacking Pence, saying that Pence is going to be great for them, attacking Special Counsel Jack Smith, saying that the media should be very upset with the court and with Special Counsel Jack Smith for their behavior, and that Special Counsel Jack Smith seeking a protective order is somehow against Donald Trump's First Amendment rights, which is just completely and utterly false. And so Special Counsel Jack Smith, he's taking tabs. He's keeping notes. I know that I saw, I think it was Mark Levin who talks like that, one of the kind of MAGA Republican propagandists on Fox. Mark Levin, that's how he talks, and he just yells and is just mean and just gushes with anger and hate, a perfect reflection of modern day MAGA. I think he posted on his social media platform, and some of these other MAGA Republicans did as well, that it's actually a Stalinist tactic that Special Counsel Jack Smith is monitoring Trump's media appearances and Trump's social media. The fact that the DOJ is citing the crimes that Donald Trump admits to and talks about during his speeches that are before the MAGA cult and on his social media platform, that is somehow improper. I mean, that's just what MAGA Republicans say. Everything's Stalinist. It's a Stalinist. Why? Because they want to fool you, because they want to use these loaded terms, because there's no substance. They don't have evidence. But Special Counsel Jack Smith has evidence. So here's the powerful reply brief that was filed by Special Counsel Jack Smith to Trump's opposition for the motion for protective order. And Special Counsel Jack Smith begins by just educating Trump's lawyers and the public, frankly, because I think they know that this document's going to be read by the public. The central purpose of criminal discovery is to provide a defendant with materials necessary to prepare for a fair trial. To facilitate the efficient production of discovery to the defense, the government proposed a reasonable protective order consistent with current practice in this district. They almost start this off the way I would in a law class that I teach. If I were to be teaching, and I don't teach criminal procedure, but if I were to teach criminal procedure, I teach other classes, I would start off like this. Let me explain to you what criminal discovery is. And Special Counsel Jack Smith has to educate Trump's lawyers. The defendant instead proposed an order designed to allow him to try this case in the media rather than in the courtroom. To safeguard witness privacy and the integrity of these proceedings, the court should enter the government's proposed protective order. goes through the procedural history, and then it talks about the media appearances being made by Trump's lawyers and the social media posts by Trump. So it explains, like, this past Sunday, defense counsel appeared on 5 television programs and discussed the case in detail, publicly commenting on topics including the parties' disagreement over the protective order, the defense's planned legal arguments, thank you for revealing what they are, the defendant's actions and statements during the charged conspiracies, and expected testimony of prospective witnesses. For instance, regarding the protective order, defense counsel stated, and it goes on CNN, it says ABC, it talks about NBC, it talks about CBS, it talks about what they said on Fox and the lies that they were spreading in very, very significant detail, quoting what the lawyers were saying. By the way, I've covered a lot of those here on the MeidasTouch network. So, I'm not going to repeat what those are. You can watch the other videos that we have. But, the lawyers went on and they lied and said a bunch of deranged things, whether it was Alina Habba, John Lauro, this new guy who's not that new, but he's new on TV and he does horrible, Jesse Banal, all these people who the PAC pays, millions of dollars to. And it says, in television appearances, defense counsel also made specific claims about what the defendant allegedly said and did during the charged criminal conspiracies and discussed anticipated testimony of former Vice President Pence, stating on NBC that former Vice President Pence would be one of our best witnesses, and on CBS that Vice President Pence will be our best witness. And then they compare what's being said on TV with what Donald Trump put on his social media. Footnote 1. I love footnotes in these filings. The defendant himself has made a number of additional social media posts related to this case since the government filed its motion for a protective order. For example, the day before, his counsel made comments about Mr. Pence, and he just cited what those are, where Trump's lawyers said it was going to be very favorable. Pence is going to be a great witness. It says, for example, the day before his counsel made comments about Mr. Pence, the defendant posted the following to social media. Wow, it's finally happened. Little Mike Pence, a man who was about to be ousted as governor Indiana until I came along and made him VP, has gone to the dark side. I never told a newly emboldened, not based on his 2% poll numbers, Pence, to put me above the Constitution or that Mike was, quote, too honest. He's delusional, and now he wants to show he's a tough guy. I once read a major magazine article on Mike. It said he was not a very good person. I was surprised, but the article was right. Sad. And discusses that. And then it talks about how on Sunday afternoon, the parties conferred twice by phone. And now it talks more about the law. And it says what Trump's lawyers really seek here is the public dissemination of discovery material. That's why Trump is opposing the protective order that was suggested by Special Counsel Jack Smith. Indeed, that's defendants' stated goal. The defendants want to use the discovery material to litigate this case in the media, but that is contrary to the very purpose of criminal discovery, which is to afford defendants the ability to prepare for and mount a defense in court, not to wage a media campaign. The court should instead enter the government's proposed order. You see how Jack Smith writes it? One of the reasons I want to read this to you is and really focus on in this detail. You see how elegant it is? Simple, basic. Let's explain what this is and why all of this Trump, smoke and mirrors is nonsense. And just to cut right through it. That's what I like about Special Counsel Jack Smith and law and order prosecutors. Just tell me the facts. I don't need to hear the BS. And it goes and says, the government's proposed protective order, applicable to all discovery produced by the government, is consistent with others routinely entered in criminal cases in this district. So here they then cite a number of cases involving January 6th insurrectionists and other related cases where this exact protective order is used. And so they cite other cases with different judges, like APM is Judge Mehta. Then you've got CJN is a Trump-appointed judge, Judge Carl Nichols. And so it's citing a bunch of different judges That's why they use these different cases. Like a bunch of judges use this protective order. And it goes on to say, the defendant's principal objection to it, as defense counsel stated publicly yesterday and in conference with government counsel, is that it would not permit the defendant or his counsel to publicly disseminate and publicize in the media various materials obtained from the government in discovery. That's what they want to do. That's what they state. They're saying it on the media, Judge. And then I think this footnote is great as well, where it says, Trump's lawyers contend that strict scrutiny should apply to the review of the protective order. But the Supreme Court has stated otherwise. And then it cites the Supreme Court case. It is significant to note that an order prohibiting dissemination of discovered information before trial is not the kind of classic prior restraint that requires exacting First Amendment scrutiny. And so when we're talking about what's called strict scrutiny, that is what's also referred to as an exacting First Amendment scrutiny, where speech, to the extent there's any restraints or prior restraints that's put on it, has to have the most minimal impact, and there has to be the most compelling government need. That's a oversimplification, but what's called a strict scrutiny. And it is a framework with which courts evaluate whether a specific regulation or any restriction on speech is permissible or not. But the Supreme Court said when it comes to criminal cases and discovery where you have grand jury secrecy, you don't apply strict scrutiny. And if Donald Trump's lawyers just focused on basic Supreme Court precedent, they would know that. Anyway, I wanted to share with you why this is such a powerful motion that Special Counsel Jack Smith filed. And I know within the kind of fast and furious nature of the filings, this filing, that filing, we cover what's going on, but I think it's important that you understand the evidence and the detail and the law and the facts so we collectively together understand the framework here. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Check out MeidasTouch.com, the new homepage for all things MeidasTouch. Make it your homepage. Wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast as well. Have an excellent day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.